Houston Real Estate Radio starts right now.
Welcome back. You're listening to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm Shannon Register, and this segment is being sponsored by The Perfect Light. They can help you with any landscape lighting and mosquito misting system things that you have going on. If you need a system, or if you've got a system and it's just not working right, or you can't get those landscape lights to come on, give them a call. You can find them online at theperfectlight.com. If you've got a real estate question, please give us a call, 281-882-8088, and we'll be happy to answer your real estate questions right here on Houston Real Estate Radio. Right now, I have a special guest for you. We're going to be talking about something a little bit different. Still has to do with real estate, but kind of a different topic, and I thought it was a great topic for summer. We're going to be talking a little bit about timeshares because there are a lot of people who are interested in them and a lot of people who are scared of them. So we want to get rid of some of those myths and find out a little bit more about timeshares, what there is to know about them. So I've got an expert coming on with me. The Art of Vacation is the name of her company, and the founder and owner is Pam Keystone, and she's actually joining me via Skype. So welcome to the show, Pam.
Thank you very much for having me, Shannon. Appreciate it.
You know, you really offer a unique service that other companies don't offer. Tell me about what your company does.
Sure. We specialize in assisting Marriott timeshare owners to get the most out of their timeshare, because timeshare ownership can be wonderful and it can be frustrating. And what we want to do is take the hassle out of it and get people on vacation. So we specialize in the Marriott timeshare program.
So I'm guessing you know that a lot of people complain because they don't use their timeshare. Is that the big complaint that you hear? That
it's not so much that they don't use it, is that they can't use it, is they can't get what they want. Okay. So with timeshare ownership, you might own at a certain property or a certain location, let's say in Florida, Miami, but you want to go to Hawaii. And you decide that that's where you want to go, and you put in a request, or you want to go there, and it doesn't happen. So most of the reason that people don't use their timeshare is that they can't use their timeshare.
So tell me, what does your company, The Art of Vacation, how do you help people with that?
So what we do is for example, with the Marriott program, we understand how timeshare works. And there are a lot of options that every timeshare company offers. So some of them are you can stay at, a property within their group. For example, Marriott has 50 different resorts that you can stay at. Maybe you could turn your week and go stay at a hotel. Maybe you could trade with a group that they're affiliated with that has 2,000 more timeshares. So it's very complicated. It's like, should I do this or should I do that? How should I go about getting on vacation? So what we do is we know the strategy. We understand what needs to happen to get you on vacation. And that's what we do.
So if I was to buy a timeshare, I could basically bring it to you and say, Pam, this is what I've bought and these are the places I want to go. And you would help me make that happen.
Exactly.
Wow, I think that's what everybody who owns a timeshare wants.
Yes.
Because the biggest thing I hear about it is they don't use it because they're frustrated by it. They can't get what they want, and so they just don't use it. It's not worth it to them.
Yeah, and it's very frustrating for a lot of people.
So tell me, for those people who are out there that are listening and they've heard of timeshares and they feel like they know what a timeshare is, exactly what is a timeshare? Let's make sure we all know what we're talking about.
And timeshare has really changed over time. A timeshare, for most people, is a fractional ownership. So what you do is you purchase a segment of time, usually a week, at a property, and you have the right to stay there 1 week a year.
Okay.
And that could be a fixed time. So you might own August 5th, and you have to go every year August 5th, or you might own what's called a floating time, where you can go anytime in the winter or anytime in the summer. And timeshares are really condominiums. So they're 2-bedroom units with full kitchens, full bathrooms, or they might be a 1-bedroom condominium, but they really are a condominium that a company has taken, split it 52 ways for 52 weeks of the year, and then they're selling off 52 shares of that condominium.
You know the ins and outs of owning timeshares. So do you recommend them? Do you feel like they're a good deal? Because I got to tell you about this segment I saw on TV the other day. That show, The King of Queens, they had a whole show on the timeshare vacation where they were going to get the free TV, and it's really funny because you hear people talking about that. They'll go somewhere just to get the free camera or the free TV. So tell me, your point of view, now that you know all the ins and outs of it, is it a good deal?
For some people it is. For most people it isn't. And part of the reason is because the timeshare companies oversell what you can do with it. So a lot of what you hear at a presentation is hype, and you go away and you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to Hawaii, I'm going to go to Paris, I'm going to go all over the world. And then you go to use it and you find out you can't. Mm-hmm. So it's a great deal, for example, for people who say, I love this property in Hilton Head, and I want to go there every single year with my family, and I want to stay in this beautiful 2-bedroom condo. It works great, because basically what you've done is you prepaid for your vacations for the rest of your life, and you already know what it's going to cost you, which is your maintenance fees every year to go back, maybe $1,000 a year, but at least you have it set as to what it's going to cost you. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work for most people when they don't want to go to that property, when they buy something that they don't want to use because they really want to go around the world. And that is how timeshare gets oversold, is that can be difficult.
So for somebody, let's say a family who's got 3 kids and they know they're going to want to go to Disney World every year for the next 15 years, then a timeshare sounds like it could be a good thing for them in Orlando. Does that sound accurate?
Yes, except the kids grow up and the kids go, I don't want to go to Orlando anymore. That is what happens over and over again. The kids are like, wow, for the first 2 or 3 years, this is great. But then they don't want to keep going back to the same place year after year, year after year. And that's where it starts to fall apart, when they say, okay, let's go somewhere else now. And then all of a sudden they can't.
So can you then sell that timeshare if you decide, hey, this isn't working for our family anymore, we're ready to do something different? Can you sell it?
Theoretically, yes. Practically, probably not. Most of the timeshares, much like real estate, they fluctuate in price. But timeshares, from the minute you purchase it, it typically drops in value to about 10% of what you paid, maybe 20% of what you paid instantly. And the reason is because what someone else can buy it for, they don't get as many benefits as you got buying it from actually from the developer, because they gave you all kinds of freebies to get into it. So someone else buying it from you doesn't get those freebies, therefore they're going to pay a fraction of the price. So there are a lot of properties out there nobody wants, and people have to give them away just to get out of the maintenance fees, or they can sell them for a marginal amount of what they paid to recoup some costs, but never what you paid for them. Another fallacy at the presentation.
So when you purchase a timeshare, how long are you purchasing it for? How long is it? Indefinitely until you die? Is it a certain amount of years? How does that work?
It depends on the company. Most of them are indefinite. And not only when you die, but it gets passed to your children. It is real estate. So it's much like if you own a house and you will that real estate to your family, and you own it as long as you keep paying your fees on it. So it's a lifetime commitment. And the problem is, if you want to get away from it, then you have to stop paying your fees, much like your homeowners association. That's what that is. You stop paying your homeowners, and as you know, in real estate, what happens is it's a lien against you, and they come after you, and it hurts your credit rating. So a lot of people have to continue to pay just so they don't hurt their credit rating. So it is a lifetime commitment. For most properties, some of them are 25 years, some are 30 years, some are 50 years, but most are lifetime.
So do you think that, I know you've said that you know some people out there who've bought timeshares and it's worked out great for them. How do they plan to get rid of it? Or is this something that their children do want and will just get passed on?
For a lot of people, they'll just pass it on to their children, because it depends where you purchase. If you purchase at what I would call one of the major companies, and typically the hotel companies like a Marriott, a Hyatt, a Starwood, a Hilton, they've got some great programs that are beyond just timeshare. You can use their hotel programs. You can stay in a hotel. You can use it for airline tickets. So all of a sudden, you're not just limited to the timeshare. And those are the ones the kids want. It's all the other ones that someone purchased where it's, hey, you've got to go to Myrtle Beach and you've got to go in August, or more usual, you have to go in December. And that's not how they want to use it.
What do you think are some of the things that people need to be really listening for and looking out for when they go to these presentations? I mean, how does one know how to evaluate if this is a good timeshare or bad, even if it may be with a big company? What do they need to be looking for?
If you're purchasing with a big company, they are much more upfront about what your options are, and you have more options. So I would say definitely to stay with one of the major developers in the timeshare world is really important, and one that has multiple properties within their group. So as I mentioned, Marriott has 50 properties. So great. If you don't want to go to your property, at least you do have another 49 you can more easily exchange to. Might not be easy, but it's easier. But if you just go and buy a timeshare, in Florida down at the Keys, and that's the only group it's part of, or maybe it's part of a bigger company, you might hear words like RCI or Interval. Those are big, huge exchange companies with 2,000 or 4,000 properties, but you are just a small player when you try to exchange with them. So I always recommend to people, if you're going to buy a timeshare, buy it someplace you'd love to go back to. You'd love to go back to your home property and not buy it for the trading purposes of it.
For some people like me, like I live in Texas, but a lot of my family lives in Georgia. If I were planning to go there every year, which we do, to see family, it seems like a timeshare might not be a bad idea for me, because I know every year I'm going to be going there once or twice every year. But if it were like a vacation place, like you said, I want to go around the world. I want to see it all. I don't want to keep going back to the same place. So do you think that timeshares work better for the more affluent people who are more planning their lives around this timeshare versus it being kind of a middle class, one time a year vacation ground?
I think the problem is that some people get into them that maybe aren't as affluent and they really can't afford it. Mm-hmm. And what they do now is that they get into financing. And the finance charges from any of the timeshare companies, you could be paying interest rates upwards of 16, 17, 20%.
Wow.
So it's not like you're paying a mortgage of 4%. Right. You're paying 16 to 17%. And they're looking at this monthly payment over the next, maybe 10, 15 years. And then they forget about that maintenance fee they have to pay for the rest of their life. And if they have a hiccup in life where they lose their job, they can't afford it. So the biggest issue I see is a lot of people get into timeshare and they really can't afford it. The affluent people can't afford it. They can buy it outright. They can go spend $25,000 in a shot. $1,000 a year is not going to make or break them. But then they are limited to having to vacation the way the timeshare dictates it. So there's a lot of timeshares for rent. And if what people want is that condo experience, which I think is one of the best parts of owning a timeshare. I own 2 weeks myself. Mm-hmm. One of the best parts is having this great condo experience on a beautiful resort. You can rent these at various websites, such as redweek.com, and you can rent like you're an owner at all of these properties for a fraction of what it would cost you to purchase it or pay maintenance fees.
Now, you had said that, this is kind of a prepaid vacation. You know how much you're going to spend every year on it. But, I think a lot of people forget that you've still got to buy meals once you get there, and you've still got to pay for the airfare to get there. And airfare can be very expensive, depending on the economy and what's going on with the airlines. So I think that there are a lot of different things to look for. Tell us the website of your company in case anybody here in Houston is interested, they can contact you.
Sure. Our website is www.theartofvacationing.com, all one word.
Fantastic. Well, a lot of really good information. Thank you so much, Pam. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We'll be right back here on Houston Real Estate Radio.